we've been married 23 years now, and seven years into our marriage, we were dry in our relationship here because at the beginning of our marriage, we committed to each other and we desired our children to have good children. So we were really pouring into our children, and we were doing nothing for each other, taking care of our relationship here. We were very tired.
And what also was a huge factor was that we had lived pretty loose lifestyles, very loose lifestyles, and brought a lot of baggage into our marriage. So we were hurting people and not really realizing why. Wanted a good marriage, like Jerry said, wanted good kids. And so we just thought it was going to happen after we got married. But when we got married, it didn't work out and pan out the way we hoped and thought it would.
We were hoping good stuff was going to come out when we got married, but a lot of other things came out that was surprising. So 3 years into our marriage, there was a real cold relationship here between us because we weren't pouring into it. I went out of town to do work, and I had an affair, and I repented to God, but I was afraid to share it with Nancy, and so it wasn't into our 7th year marriage when we actually did a marriage class to try to
help our communication problems. We thought communication was the issue, but really we discovered it was only a symptom that that underlying things were in need of help. Like I said, our past.
So through that class, we were able to first understand what God's heart was for marriage in covenant, and our eyes were really open, and it was like, wow. God is really has an incredible desire for a husband and wife, and a commitment, and not only a commitment between us, but that there would be help for each one of us from God. And so that was just a huge revelation for Nancy and I.
And so we sat there and I said, hey, Jerry, if we wanted to do it God's way. Now that's if we wanted to do it God's way. I mean, we still had the option of doing it our own way, which was get a divorce because we weren't doing well. And I brought up the divorce word in our strife, which was frequent. And
really irritated
I said,
me.
but if we want to do it God's way, we're going to have to see that this is for life. And there's another avenue, another way to go. And so that marriage class really helped us incredibly see another alternative, which really was the way we were needing to embrace.
One of the avenues of how we walked through it was one of the classes was forgiveness. And it talked about forgiveness and how many times you'd forgive. And it was incredible that Nancy and I were able to begin to forgive the small things. And what it did is it opened a communication between us that we didn't have. We didn't have the intimate conversation with one another. And it allowed us to begin to trust the other one with the other one's heart. And
it was a safe place, which we had not discovered yet. To be real, to be honest, to say, hey, we need help. And we weren't judged for it. We were accepted and embraced. And so this forgiveness lesson was like huge for me because I thought I was a pretty forgiving person. And I didn't hold grudges to others. But when it came to my husband, I was full of disappointment. And that word really penetrated to say, I do have some issue of forgiveness. Disappointments is a sign that we're not walking in the forgiveness that we have and the freedom that comes with that forgiveness, that Jesus truly paved the way for. And so we began to forgive each other and prepare the way. And then came week 12, which was called Life Patterns, and it talked about...
unconfessed sin. It talked about if you have unconfessed sin, it's like taking a pillowcase and putting over a lamp. And that God's light couldn't shine through. His desire is to shine through us and for him to shine through us. And boy, that just spoke to my heart. It broke my heart, because here I had unconfessed sin, and I wanted God to use us in spite of our choices, and I wanted God to use us. And so
we learned no secrets.
I had to
No secrets.
trust God. That my thinking is, Nancy, she's gone. If I share the adultery with Nancy, she's out the door. And
because I vowed that if that ever happened, Jerry, I was out. It was one issue, one sin I couldn't forgive, because it's ultimate betrayal. And it was ultimate betrayal in my eyes.
Yeah. So, thank God, I confessed the Nance. We worked on the forgiveness.
And having had that whole foundation of this marriage class, it was so pivotal for us that having had the knowledge of what forgiveness is, and that yes, I can forgive my husband, even in the situation of adultery, which was devastating. And you know, it wasn't easy. When he confessed it, we needed some time for healing. We needed some time to process this loss of a pure marriage. But what was so profound was God's grace, and He took us through it. Initially, I would for months. I'd throw it in his face when we would have a fight, and I'd bring it back up, even though I had confessed forgiveness. Well, one day, it was probably a few months after the confession, I drove off mad and hot, and I was driving down the road, and I thought, wow, I didn't bring it up this time. To me, that was victorious, you know. And God said to me, Nancy, that's what it's like to forgive and forget. I'll forget to hold it against him, throw it in his face. To me, that was a sign that healing is happening. And I embraced those moments. Those moments were so full of hope. And yes, forgiveness happened. And not only that, after that confession, we went through a honeymoon period of physical intimacy where we ministered to each other like never before. And I believe because we continued to tell our secrets, if you would, our sexual, poor choices, our sexual immorality, that allows for that foundation of purity to come forth, which is truly possible in marriage. I am crazy about my husband. After all these years and after all that we've been through, I'm truly crazy.
So 19 years later, we're still walking together, and we're not just walking together. We are truly flowing together, enjoying life and each other more than I ever dreamed about before. So I love you.
And I agree.